Intonation. Every language has its own intonation or speech melody. Intonation helps you to recognize the language that you hear in the same way as the melody of a song that helps you to recognize the song that you hear. English intonation is a complicated and varied phenomenon. There are dialected and regional differences in intonation. For example, there are quite a few differences between British and American intonation. Intonation may sound differently depending on whether the speakers have high or low voice, speak very slow or fast, loudly or quietly, energetically, emotionally, neutrally, or listlessly. Men and women may have their own differences in intonation. For the purpose of studying, this variety may have been described in several intonation patterns character of English speech. In general, there are two specifications. The first is falling intonation and rising intonation. Falling intonation in standard patterns. Standard unemphatic falling intonation is the most common type of intonation in English. It is used in statements, or we can use in declarative sentence, special question, comments, exclamatory, and in the first part of disjunctive question and in the last part of the alternative questions. For the statements, the example is nice to meet you, I'll be back in a minute, and she doesn't live here anymore. And for comments, write your name here, show me what you've written, leave it on the desk. And for WH question, it can be used, what country do you come from, where do you work, which of them do you prefer, how many books have you bought, which coat is yours, and whose bag is this. For the exclamation, how nice of you, that's just what I need, you don't say. And the second is rising intonation. Rising intonation is a rather complicated phenomenon. It can express various emotions such as non-finality, incompleteness, question, surprise, joy, hesitation, interest, request, and suggestion. Of course, that there are politeness, readiness to continue the conversation, lack of confidence, and even insecurity. Rising intonation in English is very different from rising intonation in Russian. For example, in a general question, was she glad to see him? Have you heard this book? In introductory phrases, according to this word, he met that girl at the tennis club. All of a sudden, the girl started to cry. And fall rising intonation. Fall rise may be used instead of the normal rising tone in unfinished part of sentence. For example, in introductory phrases or subordinate clause at the beginning of the sentence, if we don't act very fast, we may lose everything. And the second is, the article said that Dr. Alan Smith was the only person who saw the killer. And for the word stress, all stressed syllables are more prominent than unstressed syllables. for different factors are important. The first is stressed syllables are louder than unstressed syllables, or loudness. The second is the lack of syllable. If one syllable is longer than the other, there is quite a strong tendency to hear it is a stress. And the third is the pitch of the syllable. Pitch in speech is related to the frequency of vibration in voice, vocal cords, and the musical notation of low and high pitch notes. Word stress guidelines. Word simple is one morpheme: enter, deny, return, captain, potato. And the complex, it contains one or more bone morphemes, or in this is the kind of affixes, prefix, or suffixes: singer, goodness, unlock, capable, conversation, or it is a compound word. And the compound, more than one unbound morpheme: greenhouse, handbag, overcast, and whitewash. In order to decide on stress placement, it is necessary to make use of the sum or all of the following information. The first is whether the word is morphological, simple, or complex. The second is the grammatical category which the word belong to: noun, verb, or adjective, or etc. And the third is the number of the syllable in the word and the phonological structure of the syllables. I think that's all.